Hello and good evening and welcome to the final round of the SSRI GT3 Tier 1 season here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name's Ryan Walker and alongside me is not Frank Hopp, but another person replacing him in the shape of Dennis Dynamite, Oliver Anderson, and with Chris Hull behind the scenes. And first off, Oliver, how are you?
Well, I'm fine, ready for this fine evening of racing after my obvious promotion from Tier 2 to Tier 1 commentary. I must say the shaders are not nicer here than down in the lower divisions. How come you also get free coffee up here?
Absolutely, it's hard to think of. This season has went by so quickly, and it's the final round of the season already, with basically the pro championship to be decided, and also the semi-pro class championship kind of being wrapped up. But you never know, with two races here around here tonight, anything could happen, and there could be some shocks.
Yeah, still 50 points up for grabs, and that reverse grid race in the second race of this evening, that can surely put a spanner into some of these drivers' works. It's no longer just a matter of how good you are at qualifying and then keeping a race going, but also how good you are at overtaking in that second race.
Absolutely, talking about the second race as well. Yeah, the first race is basically wherever you qualify, that's where you start, and then, as Oliver mentions, race 2 will be a reverse grid, 20-minute reverse grid race. So yeah, it's going to be pretty much the championship will come down to the last race of the season in both classes as it stands. But talking about this Indianapolis track, we've got a track map for tonight, and why don't you talk us through it, Oliver?
Well, I would love to, as I did race here last week, and coming into turn 1, difficult braking zone, very hard braking zone. In turn 1, you want to cut the curbs, and some of the cars, front engine cars especially, can run it. Mid engine cars, I would probably recommend not to. Opening up the second turn as much as possible, though difficult after the hard braking zone. Full throttle through turn 3. This right handle that you need to go to the left to, keeping the car in a sort of turning movement all the time. Quick dab on the brakes going into third gear, most cars, before fully on the throttle again. Most cars, I assume, will be flat out through this particular corner before heading into the very surprisingly tricky hairpin we see down here. It's a somewhat medium speed hairpin. It's not a fully first gear or anything like that, but keeping the car hooked at the exit of the corner is important, as that opens up the turn that leads onto the long back straight, or longest back straight on this track. Coming down the back straight, also a good overtaking opportunity into the braking zone. Fast on the front, you want to brake basically at the 200, I assume, yard sport here in America. Into the left-hander, be careful of the curb on the inside that can throw your car very wide. The right-left combination up here, where we often see punctures appearing around this track in longer races, might not be a thing in those short races we see tonight. Heading into the right handle that leads onto the first time that we touched the banking since, first time we touched the banking at all around this track. Full throttle into one of the slowest corners on the track, which is somewhat funny to say coming out of a NASCAR turn. But into the slowest corner, the third final corner and the first corner in the final sector, very hard on the brakes. Overtakes are definitely possible here, but be very wary of the switchbacks before the penultimate corner. And the final braking zone of the track, very important to get a good exit here, is that determines your speed down the long main straight. And be sure to get the car hooked up nicely and pick your lines correctly, as the cars have a tendency to wash out, and maybe you'll take some of that grass we just saw on the left hand side of the corner before heading onto this long start-finish straight. Good track. I think most drivers are somewhat familiar with it, as we have just been endurance racing here last weekend. And we do know that some of the drivers on the grid did participate in that particular event, and what a race it was. I hope we can get some of the same action tonight at least.
Absolutely, as just about to come to the closing stages of practice, and while we wait, for anyone that's new to the SSRI and the league in general, we've got a new series coming up, starting on Thursdays, starting on Thursdays on the 30th of May, I believe, and the mixed GT3 and GT4 series, as you see on the screen, and the tracks for the series will be Silverstone, Watkins Glen, Kyle Abbey, and the Nordschleife, which was recently released on ACC. So if you're a big Nordschleife fan, get yourself signed up, and there will be one rain race and one night race as well to spice things up, with the qualifying being split into basically two segments: 15 minutes for GT3 and then 15 minutes for GT4, and then basically it's 1 hour races with a final race. Or the final race rather, being 2 hours, so a nice way to round out the season. So if you're a fan of multi-class racing or GT3s and also GT4s, or one of them anyway, they get yourself signed up.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're a fan of multi-class racing, just get signed up anyways. It's a fun way to spend parts of the summer at least. Taking some inspiration from the 2.4 series of old, when it used to be GT3s and GT4s, very successful series. Some good drivers already signed up, and the surprisingly strongest field at the minute seems to be the GT4s, both in sign-ups and maybe drivers as well at this point. But I bet you that we'll see quite a few sign-ups before round one next Thursday. You know what? I might be interested in giving it a go myself. I haven't driven the GT4s in quite a while, and it would be fun to return to a more leisure style of racing, or at least preparations for it. By the way, that Paul's livery on that GT4 one we see in the main picture, that's an old livery. We haven't seen Paul's for a while.
Absolutely. I was about to say, I'm sure I recognise that livery, and I haven't seen, like yourself, I've not seen the post name for quite some time. So hopefully we see a good number of sign-ups for that series, because the SSRI community is one of the friendliest around, and they're always willing to help people with stuff like setups. And if you're stuck or not very good at setups, people are always willing to help out. So I definitely recommend getting signed up. But as we're coming to the closing stages of practice, and looking at live time, and we've got about 21 cars signed up, so a decent number for the final round. And what do you think are going to be the main things to look out for tonight, Oliver? Obviously, Indianapolis, it's a road course, but there's not many passing opportunities. And do you think patience will be one of the main things?
Patience? No, the less patience, the better in short races. It's two short races, so we'll probably see a lot of action, a lot of quick attempts of overtaking. Maybe some of the good old, just park your brain in the glove compartment and full send it. I hope so, at least, especially in race 2 this evening. But Indianapolis is quite kind of one of those tracks where not many people enjoys driving it for some reason, but it's also not that difficult, and that might be one of the reasons why top drivers don't enjoy it, as it's not really that challenging. A lot of tricky corners where you do have to have some of that famous patience before you go on the throttle, and that might be a thing that's coming in tonight. The front engine cars usually are not that fast around here. We do see Michael Thomas, of course, topping the boards in practice, and we have a few other of the front engine cars as well in the championship that seem to have been doing well, but with only only 21 cars lining up for this evening of racing. It will be interesting to see who will come out on top of these situations. Front engine cars obviously usually have a little bit better top speed, but you really pay for that in the entire wear and somewhat more understeery cars. So yeah, it will be an interesting one this evening, and whether or not that, of course, Fredrickson and Sam Spinkling, after finishing second, those two guys in the weekend on Indianapolis, they can both get back on the podium. We'll have to wait and see. For yeah, we'll give it a good hour, and we will actually know from race 1 what they could do. So yeah, I'm looking quite forward to this one. It could be a race full of overtakes, and will likely be so, and great battling. But it also could be one of those maybe less fun races for spectators. But we are crossing our fingers for the first one as we actually go live in qualifying. As we see most of the cars already leaving the pit exits. A long pit exit, by the way, here on Indianapolis. Can be a little bit difficult for drivers to maybe not try and get that pit speed limiter deactivated early. As we see the Moto 11 cars already out in good force. 3 of them in this race tonight. Of course, Bas Van Melis. Oh, another car just joined. Woo, 22. Bas Van Melis, Andrew Richardson, and who are the first one? Patrick Treffers, of course, are the third one. The other BMW, sort of say, as we are following Bas around on his outlap.
Absolutely, and yeah, one of my favourite liveries as well. When yeah, hopefully we see Baz's #1 fan in the chat. Baz's mum, as we all like to call her, and yeah, always in the YouTube chat. So if she's in the chat,
she's already there. She's already there. What are you?
Already there? Oh my god!
You're not paying attention or something.
Yeah, it's my. Yeah, I'm getting old and not keeping up. So.
Technology, technology. Nevertheless, Bas is about to start his first flying lap. Mr. Van Melis getting a little bit of a tow from his teammate Patrick Treffers, not close enough to take full advantage of it, but that would, of course, also interact with how the car will do braking and cornering. So a great distance between them, and maybe we'll see if Patrick doesn't have the greatest of opening laps. He will slow down and give Bas a greater slipstream down the back straight. Even the front straight. We'll wait and see how they play this. The Mode 11 team. Though none of the Mode 11 drivers in true contention for championships or top results overall, but with only 22 cars here, they will likely jump up the championship, all of them, after tonight's racing. 50 points up for grabs in total, 25 for winning a race, and there will be 2 of those tonight, so yeah, that will be very interesting to follow.
Absolutely, there's a ride on board with Baz at the moment. And we were just talking about it before we came live on air, and the Pro Class Championship is technically, as it stands, a battle between Marius Kreisig, Martin Ulrich, and Michael Thomas, with Regan Mitchell still mathematically in with a chance of any of the top three have any issues. But go ahead, Oliver.
Well, everyone is in with a mathematical chance, basically, in Pro Class. I think only 1 or 2 drivers are out of it completely. The rest of them could mathematically still have a go and win the championship, but yeah, it is realistically between 3 drivers at the top of the table. So we don't see any Clyde Barney here. So I don't think that he actually have a rig at his current occupation in Germany. The Dutch driver. I did have the honors of speaking to him. It'd be like 2 weeks ago now at the 6 hours of Spa event, where I got to meet Mr. Clyde himself, the main man who I tried to steal some talent from, but apparently it doesn't work like that. You can't just steal talent, but I think that's why he's not racing at least this evening. So it will be Michael Thomas in the front seat for the championship, and with Regan Mitchell, of course, and Marius Racing in the front seat for the championship, with Michael Thomas and Regan Mitchell as possible contenders, with a very slim chance for Martin Ulrich as well. Now I was looking at the wrong thing. God damn it, I have a tendency of doing so.
As looking at Sam Spenkelink coming through the twisty section and one of the most difficult sections to get right, because it's basically your turn left, turn right, turn left, and then yeah, you never get a break. But yeah, Sam Spenkelink currently 6th at the moment, and yeah, one of the people I was expecting to challenge for the championship, but obviously he was on holiday not too long ago, so that kind of, yeah, he's ended up falling back and like pretty much out of contention. But you never know, Sam could spring a surprise, maybe take a win in race 1, and or depending on how it goes. But as I say that as well, the Dutchman jumps up to 2nd place, and at the moment behind the pole sitter Michael Thomas. But Sam seems to be one of those people. It seems to be really gelling well with his Lamborghini. He seems to get great results out of it.
Yeah, the Lambo does seem like a good car in his hands. Not that many Lambos in Tier 1 nor Tier 2 actually, and it is a bit surprising as many drivers actually seem to like the car when they get behind the wheel of it. I just think the body shape of the car doesn't speak to that many people, and those it speaks to, they might prefer the drivings of other cars out there. So it is a bit of a shame, and the Lambo have a bad reputation from the original Lambo in the game. The Evo drives a lot better than the super aggressive original Hurricane, but it sort of is what it is. Sim doing well. I think that Sim can drop that lap time even further out there on track, as we did see him do quite well in at Indianapolis last weekend as well, just a few days ago at this point. So that will be interesting to see. We know that Sim can drop the lap time, but whether or not that Michael Thomas can do the same, that's sort of the big question. A little bit of a slide there from Andy King onto the start-finish straight. That's a very costly mistake doing so, as you lose those kilometers per hour all the way down to the start-finish straight, and also for the first couple of 100 meters in the on your next lap that you start. So that's a rough one for Mr. King. As Parties runs around currently in 20th position in his nice Ferrari. Some improvements there. It looks like up to 14th for Mr. Parties in the Ferrari of Alpha Motorsports. He will be looking to challenge later on in the race as well, as he's up there in the semi-pro championship. Currently, that'll be like 4th in class on the grid at the minute. Not that many semi-pros. Oh, we had someone drop out there. I think that was the Nissan. That must have been Brixley who lost connection there.
Yeah, I believe so, as Parties pulls to the side to allow the traffic by. And yeah, just looking at this Indianapolis road course as well, Oliver, do you think, even though we don't have any pit stops, do you think drivers are still going to have to think about stuff like tyre wear? Because obviously maybe the left side tyres take more of a punishment because you're basically turning left all the time, but do you think the drivers will have to think about that, or is it pretty much just they have that full send mindset?
I felt like in the weekend that you could go about 40 minutes if you were careful on the tires before they started really dropping off the cliff. And that was in the Mercedes, that is a bit notorious for high tire wear, especially on a track like this. So I don't think many of the drivers will be too concerned about the tire wear, but I do think that it sort of, even though it's short races, keeps drivers away maybe, or deterring drivers from running qualifying setups for the races as well, as that would normally be possible these very short sprints. So I think that might be, it has played into how this race is going to play out, but I don't think anyone will be having that much of a thought about it during the actual race, as we are following 20th placed Patrick Travers at the minute, the other Mode 11 BMW, who is on for quite the improvement at the minute. That this will surely see him jump up if the lap is well. It looks like it is across the line to only 17th position though. It looked like quite a bit more of a large improvement, but then again the field is so tightly packed at the minute. 13 drivers within a second and the 14th just outside of it. that is very, very tight. Fredriksson coming around. This could be a provisional pole if he keeps the pace up, at least very close to it. 2 more corners to go, final braking zone. This is where it's all one lost. You can win and lose so much time out of that penultimate corner there, but it doesn't look like that he managed to keep up the pace through that final sector. Across the line, he will go just a few seconds and not improving his best lap time though. Still just over a quarter of a second behind Michael Thomas in pole position. Urso in 5th. Also tighter, at least close to improving on his personal best at the minute, and so close that just the smallest of improvement could potentially see him jump up 2 positions, as Simsport and Arvinstedt have posted the exact same lap time for 3rd position at the minute.
Yep, as Urso comes into the pits now, and just under 10 minutes remaining in qualifying, and looking at Michael Thomas as well, currently at the top in qualifying at the moment, and Michael Thomas has been one of those people that's really impressed with, really impressed with this season in Tier 1. I mean, I've always watched him in other leagues on ACC, but he's always been one of those names that I've always enjoyed watching, and he's always one of those drivers that can basically be up there fighting for wins. They maybe had the odd bit of bad luck this season from time to time, but still he's in contention for the championship. So I think if he's one of those drivers, I think he'll probably want to maybe try and win one of the races tonight. But I think he's got to be careful as well to think about the championship and just basically try his best. And if he can try and take a win and to increase his chances, and I think he'll try and take it.
Yeah, most definitely. It's something that can play mind games with you when you're in a championship battle like Michael Thomas. How much of a risk you want to take it? You might be overthinking it before the starts of the race, and you might be giving people a little bit more room that could cause you to actually lose time due to incidents when you do stuff like that. But Michael Thomas is such a fast driver that even though if he gives people a little bit more room extra in the race, I don't think that it will impact him too much when he's out there driving. Also interesting that we have a BMW fighting for championship in this season. Again, it's been a while since we've seen BMWs all the way up there. I think last time we saw Beamers up fighting for both wins and championships was when the Dark Sky guys of Simsport and Nart Cox ran the BMW, and that's that must be about a year ago at this point. That season finished when we had those guys up there in the BMWs. So that is lovely to see. One of the 2 Mercedes out on track. Marco Tacchini of the FRS Racing team, currently 11th in the standings. Could potentially do something with his current lap, I do believe, if he gets it hooked up here through the final couple of corners.
Absolutely.
As he might have actually done it. Look, no, he dropped it again there. We have fancy telemetry here in the Tier 1 commentary booth, of course. But no, it looks like he dropped the small improvement that he was getting. He actually does improve by a tiny little bit, but not enough to snatch another position. He's behind Regan Mitchell, who's also in a championship battle, and he's not really up there today. Mr. Mitchell's in the 25 McLaren, all the way down in 10th position. But then again, it is such a packed and tight field that it's difficult to get those at least top 5s, as Regan Mitchell there bails on his lap, goes to the pits and probably takes a fresh set of tires. Lucian not with a lap yet around Indianapolis. We'll have to see what he can do when he finally posts a lap time. Just 2 corners to go for him now in the 888 Ferrari. Rounding the corner of the final braking zone onto the start finish straight. Looks like he's a little bit too hooked on the inside there, so that could potentially be close to invalid. He did go very wide there, and that's the dangers of the final corner. So yeah, that will lose him maybe his next lap as well. When you run wide there, I'm not entirely sure how that works in qualifying around this track, but it could potentially have lost him the lap that he just started as well as the one that he was finishing, and he will be disappointed if he don't get a lap time in here in qualifying. Rosso up into third position now, the Romanian driver in the Ferrari, best Ferrari at the minute, which is also quite the achievement, as it does seem like a quick car. We did see that in the weekend. Maybe not the best for qualifying though, the Ferrari, but very good over the course of a race distance, I must say. As he comes in the background, we can see the Wild Things racing car of Richard Prixley in the background. That big Nissan is a wonderful sight to see on track. Who doesn't love some big Japanese rear wing?
Yeah, I was going to say Pux has had a good season in Tier 1. He's got some good results in with the Nissan, and yeah, like I was saying to Frankie ages ago, that the Nissan was one of those cars that wasn't being used a lot ages ago, just because it was an old car. But obviously with the LFM having their BOP, it's the Nissan's been brought back to life. I feel like the Pix has been getting good results with it as it comes across the line, and stays eighth.
I don't think the Bob had anything to do with Richard Prixley choosing this car, to be honest. He is a wild drive when it comes to car selections, and this is one of the cars. And I also remember the Wild Things team using way back when it wasn't a good car either, but they did it because they loved the car and the looks of it. And of course it's good to see the Nissan out there, but yeah, in the right hands, all the cars are very capable, and it's just getting the cars in the right hands. We see in the second tier how the Lexus is dominating at the minute with Luke Wilson in that car, and how that's also a really strong car around quite a few tracks at this minute, though that's also been bumped nicely by the LFM guys. I think the only car of those that potentially could be fun to see on track that we don't see are basically the Bentley in these current days of SSRI racing. The Bentley and the Honda are not shown much love in the sprint season. Of course, we do have a wild Bentley in the Endurance Championship, but not so much here in the sprints, unfortunately. As we do get to see how Prixley drives the car around the lap. We did see some slight oversteer moments or just a simply throttle rotation moments, as the Nissan can be a bit understeery from time to time. Big heavy engine out there in the front, and then this massive wing on the back as he comes across the line to start. Well, I was about to say his potential last run, but he could actually sneak in 2 more laps if he's quick about it. Van Melis in the pits, he's likely not getting back out on track at this point. Same goes for Schenkens. I haven't commented on him for a while. Basically anyone in the pits now, they will not be making it out for another run. So their qualifying will be over at this point. Probably some miscalculations in fuel if you are set in the pits at this point that brought you to the situation where you don't have enough to be out at the last minute of qualifying. And Nugent did manage to get a lap time set at the back of the grid. Speaking of, and Regan Mitchell in 10th position out there, he could potentially still improve his lap time down, dropping to 11th after Prixley sets a lap. Regan Mitchell is actually improving his lap time, and this would potentially throw him quite far up there if he can keep this pace around for the last couple of corners, up by about 3/10, 4/10 as he goes onto the brakes. Moves a little bit up and down the timing through the final sector, of course, depending on lines you take. But he is on a flyer at the minute, Regan Mitchells. Could this be a surprise top 3 from Regan Mitchells? Him and Prixley also with the same lap time before Mitchells comes across the line to go second with the final run. No, not the final run for him. He does make it across to one more lap. So Regan Mitchells jumps about 10 positions to go. Loses a bit there on turn 1, but jumps about 10 positions to make it second provisionally with the time having expired. But remember, the drivers can finish their final laps, the laps that they have started before the time ran out, if they so one wish to do so. Marius Racing Championship leader, just about a 10th down on his best at the minute. If he can find some magical apexes, he could potentially improve. Michael Thomas looks to be improving ever so slightly up in the front of the pack, though he is dropping back to matching his best time once again. We actually haven't seen Michael Thomas improve that much during this qualifying session, as Racing there backs out of it to let Thomas go. Speaking of Michael Thomas, here he is on a really hot one. Will he be improving on the very last attempt of qualifying, getting below the 135s here on Indianapolis? Does look like it, though losing a little bit out of the penultimate corner there. Still improving, it looks like, coming down the start-finish straight for the final time. He does improve and gets into the 34s.
Yeah, a great excuse me, a great final qualifying lap from Thomas to improve even further, and he takes the pole position. But as qualifying is just about to, or basically qualifying is in the books, I should say. It's Michael Thomas taking the pole position with Regan Mitchell alongside him in the front row, and then Marius Dreisig in third place with Third Fredriksson rounded out row 2, and then Andreas Erzo in 5th with 6 Ben Mullard, and then Seb Spenkelink in 7th, and then Rainer Affenstad in 8th, and then 9th is Marco Taccini with Andrew Richardson in 10th, and then Richard Pixley with the Nissan in 11th, with Stuart Wright in 12th, Alessandro Corzo in 13th, and then Milan Duma 14th, and then Dario Vianello in 15th with Andy King 16th, sorry, and then Baz Van Melis in 17th, but Mick Shellikins in 18th with Patrick Treffers in 19th, Aridius Partes in 20th, and Dennis Verhoeven 21st, and then Raymond Luton in 22nd round out the grid.
Yeah, it sure is a tightly packed grid for this event. I wouldn't pass anyone in the basically the top 10. I feel like all of these drivers have a good chance of actually winning this race. And remember, with the reverse grid and only 22 cars on the grid, that could potentially be double wins we're talking about in this race. So it would be very unheard of in Tier 1 to have a double race winner in races in situations like this. But with only 22 cars, that might be an opportunity if you get a good enough launch in the second race off the line, and that will be super important once we get there. But before we get to that point, we still have race 1 of the final round of the season here on Indianapolis to go through first, with Dressing and Regan Mitchell, of course, being the two main contenders for the championship out there on 76 and 60 points respectively, with Michael Thomas following them behind with 51. He will need a bit of a miracle there in the BMW to climb up to Marius Racing and Regan Mitchell, but nothing is impossible for those who carry the will in their heart and have a bit of good luck from the racing guards, of course. So it is still all to play for, and at least Michael Thomas can finish the season out with a strong result and the third race win in a row if he manages to win this one. Fun fact: no one in the top 4 have won a race yet in the standings. Michael Thomas being the best placed driver who have won a race so far this season, so that is worth bringing along or taking with him for Michael Thomas.
Absolutely. So just waiting for the formation lap to start, and yeah, what's your predictions for turn one? Or do you think there's going to be shenanigans?
Well, we all love some good shenanigans, but yeah, well, these are very good drivers, so I wouldn't put it past them to risk it all into turn one. Honestly, usually we did see in the endurance event that it was a very clean first lap, but there's a big difference on endurance and sprints, of course. So yeah, we might see a driver or two trying to sneak it up the inside of a few drivers and failing it, but then again, we have seen all season, at least in the second tier. I haven't followed that much on the first tier, as I haven't been available here on Tuesdays. So yeah, but in the second tier, at least we haven't seen that many incidents in the first couple of corners. Actually, it's normally not until the third or fourth corner on the lap that stuff really starts to kick off. So yeah, I'm just interested to see how these top guys do this. Gets around the first lap. But good opportunities into turn one. It is a long run from the start line into turn one, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's not Michael Thomas leading the way through there. But he does have the advantage on being on the inside line and just having those crucial few meters on Regan Mitchell in second.
Absolutely, and
30 seconds.
yeah, I think what what's good for your mindset before this first race as well. By the way, if you're in contention for a championship, what sort of mindset do you go into? Depending on where you are, do you go into it with just the aim of finishing and just not getting involved in any incidents, or do you try and gain any positions that you can to try and basically keep your chances alive or increase your chances depending on who you are in the top three?
These guys are race drivers. They will they will take their chances. They can say whatever they want before the race, but as soon as those red lights they turn off and the green flag is waved, they are racing. So so yeah, but I do think that some of the drivers are smart enough to think of the championship standings. But of course, if you run down to those who are not in contention, they could potentially go full send as they know if they crash out in this race, as long as they finish this one, then they would have a top starting position for the next one. So it is a bit of a free one for some of the drivers, especially further down the field, to try and maybe risk it a little bit more on this one, as it doesn't hurt you that much championship-wise if you can get a good result in the second one from a good starting position. So yeah, that's some of the things to be speculated about for this event. Now for this evening of racing. Michael Thomas have started the formation lap, leading the way, of course, with Regan Mitchell there just lurking in the background and in his rear view mirror. In the much smaller McLaren compared to the big M4 BMW.
It was just come round in the warm-up lap now, and yeah, I think just looking at the semi-pro class championship as well, it's pretty much looking at the semi-pro class for race one. Fredriksson's done a good job in qualifying to pretty much as we were talking about, he's pretty much got the championship wrapped up, but as you know, in the series anything can happen, and all it takes is for Fredriksson to possibly be caught up in an incident, and the other contenders behind him in the championship could take advantage of that. So I think Fredriksson's pretty much probably just telling himself just to try and finish the race and not get involved in any incidents. But you never know. With turn one, you could see a bit of a concertina effect, or everyone getting bunched up.
Fredriksson's nearest competitor in the championship, starting all the way down in 21st position this evening of racing, of those who are actually here tonight. So it is not that much of a risk for Fredriksson today. The nearest guy championship-wise who are racing today are fourth in the championship with just 51 points to his name, and that is compared to Fredriksson's 96 points. So as Fredriksson will mathematically be crowned champion if he scores just 5 points today, unless if Dennis Verhoeven manages to win 2 races. But 5 points and he will mathematically be champion. Or if he scored 5 points, then there's no way that Verhoeven could have caught up even by winning both races. So yeah, it's basically wrapped up for P1 there in the semi-pros, but it is a golden opportunity for both Milan Dumas and Dennis Verhoeven if they get some good results here to climb up into 2nd and 3rd in the semi-pro championship. So that is something to look forward to. Richard Prixley as well can get a good amount of points and climb it as well up to top positions. And I know the WTR team, they will be cheering from as we actually racing, goddammit, while we are mumbling away.
That's all good as everyone's underway, and through turn 1 there was no issues or incidents. From what I saw, there was a bit of door rubbing, but nothing too major. But
you saw the start and didn't mention to me that we were actually racing.
I didn't want
Jesus Christ!
I didn't want to be rude and interrupt you, but
oh, I would have interrupted you any day.
But as Michael obviously leads at the moment, and yeah, starting just slightly ahead, got a slight gap to Regan Mitchell. But as I say that, Mitchell closes up through the S's there, and I completely forgot we got underway as well, to be honest. So yeah, that pretty much bad on both our parts. But further back, we're looking at Milan Dumas, who had a decent start, but just looking through the that was the
decent start, but now he's got spun around. That was by the red Mode 11 car, it looked like, and that would be Patrick Travers, I believe. No, not Patrick, Andrew Richardson, of course it is, in one of the 2 red Mode 11 cars, as Bartolomé Mellis seems to have taken advantage of that and getting up to a position where he can overtake a challenge for top Mode 11 car in the race, as it is a drag race into turn 1 between 2 BMWs and the Ferrari of Vinalo. Getting onto the brakes, we'll see them coming here, full NASCAR formation, side by side, all the way down there. Another of the red Mode 11 cars going a little bit deep into the corner, but nothing too bad, as they all seem to be holding position, even though they were super closely racing. Andrew Richardson now in the 14th position, little bit of a gap between Richardson and White. We'll see if Andrew can use his experience from the race in the weekend and climb up and close the gap to White there. Bas van Mellis behind, he'll be looking in the rear view mirror down to Vinalo in 16th, but a little bit of a gap Bas have managed to create already there. Not under immediate pressure from Vinalo, but the slightest mistake from Bas and he'll be right up there, further up the field. Richard Prixley on the attack, he will be looking for positions. 10th position currently, and 2nd in class for Richard in the semi-pro championship in the Nissan. Not close enough this time around into the chicane on the back straight. But let's see if that Nissan have some run down the straight. We know the Mercedes behind is rather quick, but whether or not that the Ferrari set up slow down for us, we'll have to wait and see. Fredriksson further up the field in the sort of the lead train. Michael Thomas have pulled away a little bit, but Fredriksson very close to racing into turn 1. Not close enough for the move though. It is one of those corners, if you're not really about halfway alongside the other car, then you have a very big chance of missing your braking zone or not making it through and securing the position, as the next corner immediately after will be a left. After the first one obviously being a right-hand corner, which Americans usually don't like that much. That's also why we see Indianapolis 500, they go the other way. Vinalo have spun around. He was close to Bas van Mellis earlier. I wonder if they had contact or if it's a solo incident maybe. Bas now under no pressure at all from any drivers behind and seeming to be securing that 15th at the minute, but everything can change very quickly though. Behind Bas there's a lot of battling and duking out there for position, with cars moving all over the back straight. Looking here at Lucien, who started last, and Milan Dumas, who had that incident on lap 1. he will be looking for overtaking opportunities as he takes a very different line there to Verhoeven through the S's of the weight transfer corners, as we called it in intensive motorsports, which the Mercedes didn't like. But in Milan tomorrow, we did see him and his teammate, or who was his teammate in the endurance event? I can't remember, but they were some quick drivers, aggressive on the overtakes all race long. Mr. Vincent Vilcek, of course, that was, but aggressive on the overtakes all race long, so he definitely knows how to overtake around this track. He did prove that in the weekend, tucked up right behind Patrick Treffers down the start-finish straight. Will he be looking forward into turn 1? He does show himself, but pulls back in, not close enough this time. But Patrick Treffers gets psyched out a little bit and goes deep into turn 1. This could be an overtaking opportunity for Milan Dumas through the first sector if he is very, very good at this, or smart at his driving, or Treffers makes even a slight mistake now. Look at how close they are. Will Milan try it? Looks for the outside. Not enough switches to the inside. Milan goes wide and... No, sorry. Treffers goes wide and Milan goes through. Smart driving there from Milan Dumas. Good move into 18th position now for Milan. 1 second up to Luton behind.
Yep.
And we think we have a small replay maybe being offered in the background. And dished up cold. This is what happened between the Italian driver and Bas. The Italian goes for the set there. Ooh. Bas not at fault in that one at all. No chance to get out of that for Bas. As Vinalo just launches it up the inside. They're not the best of moves, but yeah, hopefully Bas didn't take it, or Bas Famedis didn't take much damage in that small collision, as he's still keeping position in 15th and not under pressure. He's sort of the only driver in a proper no man's land in this race, apart from Michael Thomas out in front.
Oh, so it looked like, yeah, it looked like we had a move happening into turn 1 there, but or Duma was trying to make a move, but couldn't pull it off. But yeah, Michael Thomas got a 2 second gap, or 2.3 second gap, I should say, to Regan Mitchell.
Milan now actually trying the outside move, which becomes inside and then outside again into the hairpin. Difficult to keep it on the outside, but forcing the other car narrow enough. He does keep it, which becomes the inside line for the corner leading on to the start-finish straight. Who's earliest on the throttle? Little bit of argy-bargy there as Milan looks to be maybe going through completely side by side down the back straight. Who dares to be latest on the brakes? Looks like Milan. Very good move there, only just leaving enough room for Partis there on the inside. But Milan goes through up into 17th position, and the rate that he closed down to Partis that in that one lap, that was incredible driving from Milan Dumas. Will be looking for Luchin next, 2 seconds behind him. Sorry, you were just saying something before I went on a rant.
It's all good. I was just saying it looked like Michael Thomas has got about a 2.3 second advantage now to Regan Mitchell. So Thomas doing what he needs to do to keep his chances in the championship alive. But yeah, apart from that, apart from some little incidents in the early stages, it's been relatively clean, as I've got about 11 minutes and 20 seconds left in this race. So yeah, even if some of these drivers don't get a good result in race 1, they've still got a chance to make up for it in race 2 with the reverse grid. And the reverse grid I'm looking forward to, because I'll be interested to see how some of these quick guys try and get throughout the field. Looking at Fredrickson at the moment, I've just watching him. He doesn't look too eager to try and make any moves. He's more than happy to sit where he is at the moment, from what I see. And Dreisig, it looks like he's starting to create a bit of a train behind him.
Yeah, but the thing is, for Dreisig leading the championship at this point, the race have settled down. I think he might be having it in the back of his mind, which is why I don't think Fredrickson, when coming for, if he goes for it, will be a calculated defense from Blessing. But again, for Fredrickson, it's the same. Leading the semi-pros and could mathematically secure it by holding position in this race. So it actually basically a win-win situation for both these drivers, as they are not severely under pressure from behind. But of course, we know that Fredriksson wants to show that he's one of the absolute toughest guys. Yes, that's a word. Toughest guys in this division, and can play along with the main championship contenders, as he have definitely developed over the last 2 seasons. Mr. Fredriksson, top driver at the stage of his sim racing career. And he really wants to show that he belongs up there, and taking a podium here in the race 1 at Indianapolis would be a good way of doing so, as we have had a disconnect from the race down to 21 drivers. I wonder who that was. I'm just having a look at seeing if there are any names that I find missing, but again, not having done that much tier 1 commentary this season, it is difficult to tell for me, but yeah, you might be able to tell us a little bit more about that, Mr. Rhino. It was Mr. Partis, of course. I do seem to remember that he had some sort of issues with that previously in his racing career as well. As Avonstead is a little bit, yeah, well, he's in that situation where he needs to think of attack but also defense at the same time. Though mostly attack, and that's Ben Mullert ahead of him. That's also a tough driver to get through, even on the best of your own days and the worst of Ben's days. Then yeah, making an overtake there is not going to be easy pickings for Mr. Anstetter or Ansteed in this particular situation. But yeah, he definitely well, he might be trying for it if he sees a gap.
Absolutely.
This might actually be pretty good for Partis, as he will have pole position for next race if he comes back out on track and does a lap or 2. Obviously not what he wanted before the race started, but I think he will take it.
So there's a ride on board of Arsenstad at the moment, and yeah, I agree about Ben Mullard. He's one of those drivers that I've raced before, or raced against on ACC before, not in SSRI, but other leagues as well on the ACC. And yeah, he's an absolute nightmare, is what I could say. Try and get by, because he's not overly aggressive on defender, but he does a good job of placing his car where he needs to, and yeah, it makes it difficult. And I think that's why that's what makes him such a good driver on ACC. And I think yeah, currently 8th at the moment, and another reason it's difficult to get by that Porsche is because in corner exit, the traction on that Porsche is just so good.
It is, it most definitely is. I'm just having a look on the championship standings while you just keep talking in the background, please.
Absolutely. Again, we're looking at Fredriksson in 4th place at the moment and currently leading the semi-pro class. So yeah, he's doing a good job of keeping his hands on that championship for the semi-pros. And I think it's probably something he's thinking about in the back of his mind as well. He doesn't want to get caught up in any incidents, but he wants to try and get a good overall result with the likes of Dreising in front of him, and also Erzo, Svenkelink, and also Tachiri as well right behind him. So it's one of those situations that you don't want to lose too many positions, but you don't want to risk getting caught up in an incident. And I think it's probably something that he's thinking about right now.
Most likely not. I was just trying to find this page again. Yes. Just give me a minute.
There's a looking further back in the field as well. Looking at the battle between, looks like Verhoeven and Schelikins as well. So yeah, plenty of battles further back in the field. And as we've got about 5.5 minutes left in this race, and yeah, it's been a considering it's not a large turnout like we've had in previous rounds, it's still been a good race. It looks like Shelikin's trying to make a sneaky move up inside, and he clips inside curve and runs wide in the final couple of corners, and that's ended up costing him, and he's ended up falling back and losing some time. But I take that back. Shelikins is the one that's got a bit of breathing space, so yeah, I think it'll be breathing a bit of sigh of relief. But apart from that, back up to the front, we've got Fredriksson still under pressure, and Watson his cars behind Fredriksson in this trade as well, or behind Dreisig, sorry. It's for some reason it's making me think of Jarno Trulli that raced in F1.
Yeah, surely the trolley train, though this would be the Charge boat. I think Norwegians like boats. Yeah, but now he gets the gap, and Sim Spinkling might be onto something into to the next braking zone if he gets this one set up right. Not really, but there the gap seems to be closing there. Both drivers going a little bit deep into the corner. Sim pushing it, and both drivers having to go narrow through the penultimate corner there. Defensive driving from Urso and offensive driving from Sim. Good to see, but it of course means that Sim won't have the opportunity down the start and finish straight. Big unfortunate there. About 3 laps to go in the race at this point, and at this rate of driving. Sim looking very racy at the minute and trying to get past Mr. Urso. Speaking of, if these standings hold, then there will only be 13 points between Regan Mitchell and Mr. Dressing for the final round of this, the final half of this evening's racing, which means that if these results hold, that Dressing only needs 5th in the reverse grid race to be mathematically secured champion. That he doesn't need to care about where anyone else finishes, so that is the championship situation at the minute. Dual screening the battle between Ursa and Sim, and then in the bottom picture, the battling between Mick Shelikens and Vinaldo, whatever, the Italian guy. Also good team name from Shelikens. The Italian guy goes for the outside there, trying the overspeed into the braking zone at the back straight, and actually succeeds with it. Shelikens just leaving the room and not trying it too hard on the outside, so that would have been difficult to defend. Esvin also makes a little bit of a mistake there, but Shelikens not able of taking advantage out of it. Still be heading into the braking zone on the oval once again.
Indeed, as the top of the screen has still got the battle up closer to the front again with Spenkelink still. Spenkeling's not been able to really make any positions or any ground. He's pretty much stuck where he started, and it's just that's the difficult nature of this Indianapolis road course. There's not many passing opportunities around here apart from turn 1 and maybe turn 7 or turn 7, sorry. So it's pretty much you're pretty much stuck in a train.
12 is also quite of the overtaking opportunity if you get it set up correctly, but yeah, it is a difficult one. But then again, it is a short track lap time wise, at least in GT3 terms. It's only a minute and a half roughly, and plus a few taxes there on top of that, of course. But it's not that long before you get to the overtaking opportunity, so it's just sticking it in there and keeping it going, as next lap will be the final lap of this race. And I was just trying to have a look, as I think that Fredriksson might be mathematically secured if these results stick home for the championship, as Thomas van Schaik and Johannes Pinotrkovic is not racing this evening, so yeah, he might actually mathematically secure himself, or he will mathematically secure himself champion, Mr. Fredriksson, after this one race of the evening. as it holds, but Sim on the move there.
Yeah, for instance,
Frederiksen is now 7th. I was maybe just jinxing him a little bit, but this will not impact it too much in the championship for him, as he'll still be mathematically crowned champion if it holds. But yeah, something must have gone on there. I know our cameraman Chris is doing his best and trying to figure out what happened to Frederiksen there. Not that he will have much of a chance of that, as we are on the final lap now. Maybe Francorchamps can send us a little bit of a snappy replay of it at some point himself, or post in the ACC chat on our Discord. As Michael Thomas only needs to round about 2 more corners to be a race winner yet again for Michael Thomas, who have been the most winning driver so far this season, as this will be the 3rd race in a row for him that he wins. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Thomas comes across the line to finish first in the first race of the evening here in Indianapolis. Regan Mitchells comes across second, and then Dressing third. This means that Dressing will need 13 points to mathematically secure his title in the next race, which is about a 5th position for him. But of course, as long as he finishes ahead of Regan Mitchell, he will also be mathematically secured, or Mitchell will basically need a win. And if Mitchell's wins, then it will still be very tough, as 13 behind, that'll be 12. Then if Regan Mitchell's win, then Dressing needs to be 6 or lower for there to be any kind of a chance. So yeah, it seems secured, but mathematically still possible for the Pro Championship to switch hands here on the final day of racing.
Absolutely. That was it was a good first race to start the evening, and race 2, obviously with the reverse grid, it could be passing difficult around here. It could be interesting to see how the pro class drivers try and get through the field. But yeah, I think it'll be a good test to see what they're like to getting through the field. And but predictions for the final race, Oliver.
It's a difficult one, you know, especially here in Tier 1, as the gap between the drivers are not that big pace-wise. So I do think it's going to be one of the drivers that starts in the top 6, top 8 area that potentially could go on and win this race, as it will be difficult even for the toppest of drivers to go through a Tier 1 field and claim a win from the back. So I think there will be overtakes, but not as many as we'll probably see in about a week's time, when the Tier 2 guys will attempt the exact same thing as we are at the minute. So difficult really. I think Party stands a very good chance of winning, as he'll start from the front after having the disconnect and getting back on the server, getting a few laps in there at the end. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one to call, even though that I've done my best of talking my way out of calling it, of course. But yeah, what are your predictions for this reverse grid race? And if you say carnage, then just no.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, you've got so many good drivers up at the front. You've got the likes of Fredrickson, who was right up there challenging the pro class guys for most of the race. And then I don't know. I think like I say, it's going to be interesting to see how the pro class guys get through the field with the reverse grid. I think you might see some trying to be pretty much trying to get through the field as quickly as possible, and then other guys maybe trying to get through the field, or maybe taking a little bit of a little bit more, not safe approach, but more just being a little bit more thoughtful.
Then again, it's the final race of the season. If you have some unfulfilled potential, then just full send it now and try and get the result. But yeah, we get to see what happens in just a few minutes' time, as we'll be going racing once again on Indianapolis. Fredriksen's game apparently froze, it looks like, as there are some chattering going on the Discord channel with live updates from drivers and stuff like that. Apologies have been made as well from Andrew Richardson, who claims to have absolutely no brain at all, and people are accepting the apology, it looks like, out there. So yeah, good to see the friendly spirits are still up there from the drivers, even though that we have reached the final round of this season. I think some of the drivers might also be just ready to get the season finished off, and maybe getting to enjoy the summer a little bit more. As we all know, sim racing season are basically best during the winter, with most people active in racing there. As we are still just waiting for the servers to be finalized and set up for the reverse grid race, it is a little bit of a tough challenge for the administrative team to get this sorted, but they are doing their best at the minute to get it done. So a big round of applause to those guys, keeping the events going and organized as much as they possibly can, and of course to the awesome broadcasters as well. Clap yourself on the shoulders, everyone in the shed, especially Grandpa Chris Hill in the background, who sits there week in and week out and controls the cameras. Some might say that he actually lives behind the computer at this point. He might be glued to the chair even, or it might just be bottom sweat that does that. But hey ho, it is what it is. He is at least still here.
Yes, I was about to say. Some say that our director likes to sit behind the computer screen and operate the camera as well, smoking a pipe and wearing slippers.
Others say he does other things behind the computer screen, but we can't speak of that on, on YouTube.
Okay. I said that. No, I never said that. Oliver said that. I didn't.
I didn't say it either. I just said that some say, and those some is not me, of course. I've just heard that some say.
Oh, Jesus. I'm trying not to laugh.
I'm just sorry for Miss Van Melis who have to listen to us talk like this live this evening, where she just wants to support her great son driving.
Oh, jeez. As we're just waiting for the servers to come back up, and we've just been told that the servers are back up. So once we get to the grid for race 2, we will take you through the grid for the final tier 1 race of the season. And don't forget, while we're waiting, the final round of the tier 2 season takes place next week. And yeah, I think you're more familiar with tier 2, Oliver. And how's the racing been in that division?
Dominated by Luke Wilson, I must say, but apart from that, it's been a wild season with big heartbreaks, big upsets, great stories from all classes, basically. Amazing racing, especially in the reverse grid race we had at the Red Bull Ring, where we saw Luke Wilson come from last to 5th in a super packed race. Of course, he did have a massively good start and got a little bit lucky in turn 1 as well there, but Tier 2 racing is definitely something to look forward to next week, as all action will be unleashed onto the track when those guys go racing. There's sometimes a little bit I wouldn't say take your brain out and throw it away kind of moves, but we often see some very optimistic defensive driving, I should say, from the Tier 2 drivers, which makes it very fun, as you need some high skill to overtake there. Great action. And while we're waiting for the the race to begin once again, remember to hit the like and subscribe button for all the action here on the SSRI channel, and hit the notification button as well for notifications for when we go live here on the channel, so you won't miss next week's Tier 2 race, which is probably the greatest sim race of the year. Probably, we must say. And also, while you're at it, sat out there waiting whether or not that you'll be sim racing and not, get your sim racing equipment and sign up for the throttle first days, or traction first days, I'm supposed to say. That starts next Thursday with mixed class racing GT3s and GT4s. Round 1 will be on Silverstone, of course. So yeah, as Crystal quickly brings up the traction first days picture in the background. Yeah, that will be quite the interesting series to follow, especially if it gains some traction in the sign-ups. I think people should definitely be signing up because I tried to make a joke. Sign up for the championship to avoid hearing me tell jokes.
Oh dear.
If not, then I will be literally coming and knocking on your door and tell you random jokes at random times of the day, and that is not a pleasant experience, I should say, from my neighbor. But it is what it is. The cars have lined up on the grid, which means that we could do a grid rundown. Well, I'll actually just start on it before Chris is ready. So in pole position for race 2 will be Mick Shellikens, as Parties actually gets to start from the back with that disconnect yet earlier. That's my bad. I thought it'd be different, but Shellikens starts from pole position with Milan Dumas lining up next to him. In third, we have Vinialo with Dennis Verhoeven next to him. Lutin and Patrick Treffers lines up behind those guys, and Bas van Mellis with his Mode 11 teammate Andrew Richardson in 7th and 8th. 9th position will be Andy King with White next to him. Corso and Anstetter in 11th and 12th. Richard Prixley in the Nissan in 13th position with Ben Mullert next to him. Fredrickson, the now crowned semi-pro champion, in 15th with Tacchini in 16th. Sim Spinkelink in 17th. A bit surprised that he got beaten by Ursu, but yeah, good drive there from Ursu. Dressing, who will be looking to just get 5th to mathematically secure himself in 19th and 20th with Regan Mitchell. Michael Thomas, race winner of race 1 in 21st, and then Parties in 22nd. And the racing at the sausage end here on the grid. Yes, that's a good turn that I'll be using a lot more in the future, just for the sakes of it. Chris, you must remember getting the racing at the sausage end. And of course, no one can hear Chris in the background, but he is old enough to know what that means. He claims so. So yes, that is great. 2.5 minutes of drivers getting the right setups on the cars. Second race of the evening being slightly longer than the first one. And I actually think that I have just time to run to the toilet before the race starts, so I'll leave you with the great tunes of Ryan Walker for the next few minutes.
Such a charmer as Oliver looked jumps off for a few minutes, but yeah, final race of the Tier 1 season, and it's been a good season. And looking at the championship, it all comes down to this. And I think if you're looking for someone that's in the perfect position for the championship, it's got to be Marius Dreisig. But you never know. You've got the other drivers still in contention that could spring a shock. But as we've still got about 1 minute 40 until we get underway, if you want to be notified of any future broadcasts and or you want to watch any past broadcast on the SSRI YouTube channel, click that button, that subscribe button, and yeah, you'll be notified of any future broadcasts or that have been uploaded or when we go live. And yeah, feel free to say hi in the chat, and if you're enjoying the racing, feel free to talk about it as well. But I think as all the drivers are on the grid, this is pretty much one of those moments where you're checking where everything's all set up. You're basically your traction control, ABS, checking. Excuse me, checking you've got the correct amount of fuel as well, just stuff like that, and just yeah, just relaxing for a few minutes as well, and before we get on the way. And I think some drivers will probably be going through what sort of the plan to go with for this race, and I think it's pretty much drivers just thinking about how they're going to make up positions and how they're going to just try and keep out of trouble. But as we're just about to, or just about to get underway with the warm up lap as well, and yeah, it's Mick Selikin's starting the pole alongside Milan Duma as well, the two semi-pro class competitors. And as we get underway with the warm up lap, this will be a chance for people to just do stuff like get their brakes up to temperature, get their tyres up to temperature, and yeah, pretty much as you see in the background, there are some cars we even just tried to get some heat and temperature into those into the tyres. As we look at Shelikins at the moment and the Porsche with Duma and the Ferrari, and yeah, I think don't be surprised if you see some people like this man right here, like Dario Vianello in the pro class, trying to make positions up in the early stages, because you've got the likes of and Ritson and also other quick drivers as well. You've got some quick semi-pro class drivers as well that could get through the field. And as you see there, the race is 45 minutes, so it's a longer race for race 2. And there's no pit stop in this mandatory pit stop in this race, so drivers will probably have to look after the tyres, look after the car, and not push too hard in the early stages. So you might see some drivers just being a little bit not going as quick in the early stages of the race, like you would probably see maybe see in race 1, but as they come up to turn 7, I think this is one of the passing opportunities. And I think as you see there, the ambient temperature is 29 degrees, with the track temperature 36 degrees, I should say. But yeah, the wind is not really, it's not a high wind, or there's hardly any wind, so something that these drivers don't have to worry about. As they see in the back of Selikin's car, please no Punterino, is yeah, a famous phrase that Jimmy Broadbent, who's famous on YouTube, has used that phrase in the past. So Selikin's, I think, drawn some inspiration.
He might have. As I'm actually back for the race start this time. Maybe we get to witness the race start this time and not fool around, do other stuff while trying to commentate on an actual race and miss the probably most exciting parts of it. And Selikin's not a man used to be leading the pack in situations at all, so he will be enjoying his time on pole position. Milan Dumas could be a good shout out for the win here from second. Quick driver, difficult to overtake Milan when it comes down to it, so we'll see what he can do from a good starting position. It's all about getting the run into turn 1 for the drivers up there. Basically anyone's game at this point. Andrew Richardson could be one of the drivers. Big shout for the win as well, though front engine cars used to be a little bit harsher on the tires. As we are racing, ladies and gentlemen, for the second time this evening. Good start from Milan Dumas already alongside Mick Selikin, and Looks like the drivers behind them as well getting a good start. Into turn 1 we go 4 wide in the middle of the field. All 3 Mode 11 cars there side by side and touching each other. It looks like Bas got the worst of that in the wide Mode 11 car. Shelikens comes out on top with Milan Dumas right behind, but Milan, we have seen him do this move before earlier today, but already passed before the kick there. Seems like Shelikens backed out of it completely and just trying to maintain position. As Milan Dumas now leads the pack through the first sector. We go yellow flags out for 52. I think that's Richard Prixley in the Wild Things Racing Nissan as he goes across. More yellows ahead. That's Urso. And that's Regan Mitchell, I think, in the McLaren that was spun around there. That definitely puts a spanner in Mitchell's championship aspirations as he dropped out. Someone dropped out of the race already after that early incident. But this is good news for Racing. It looks like as they'll be coming across the second sector soon, so we can get a good look on whether or not, yes, that was Mitchell's. It looks like was spun around in 21st now, so that's basically championship aspirations over for him. Milan Dumas leads the way after lap 1. Villano up into second position, it looks like already, but that's Milan Dumas having a disconnect as well from the lead of the race. Milan Dumas out of it, which means Villano now takes lead of the race. That's very unfortunate there from Milan Dumas leading the race and losing connection to the racing servers, as Verhoeven is now on the attack on Shelikens. Goes up into second position there. Andrew Richardson, a man on a mission. Definitely a really good shout for a win here from Andrew. Usually a very quick driver and not the best of races in race 1 for him. So he will definitely be one of the drivers who will be tough to beat in this one. In the situation we are in now, he will be having to try and get a move done on Verhoeven as soon as possible to get up to Villano and then pull away from the quicker drivers coming through the field. Richardson to the inside there, room was left. Difficult to keep it on the outside around him. Milan Dumas back on the server again, but a full lap down or over a lap down when the field passes the start-finish straight next time, as there's a little bit of a countdown from when you rejoin the server until you can actually go racing again. Andrew Richardson looking very racy into the braking zone at the back of the oval there. Little bit of a mistake there from Verhoeven means that Richardson goes through and Shelikens with the possibility of an overtake now, both in Porsches with Lucian right behind. That's Stuart White, who caused a little bit of a yellow there, takes the alternate layout through the chicane there. Does Stuart White, but further up the field, look at this action. It's Mick Shelikens, the Mercedes, of course, so free white Shelikens to the inside, forcing a little bit pressure there on Lucian, but Lucian goes through and then Shelikens loses another one, it looks like, but maybe he can keep it on the inside. But no, he backs out of it. Shelikens loses the position as well to Corso, as Shelikens is now dropped to 6th position. That's how quickly it goes in races like this, as Patrick Treffers will be the next driver putting pressure on Shelikens, with Fredriksson right behind as well, as Fredriksson have had a great start to this race. So far at least. As Bas Van Melis on the outside of Michael Thomas behind, or Thomas on the inside of Van Melis, I should rather say. Thomas goes through Bas as Bas drops into to 10th. Not the start that Van Melis would have wanted in a race like this. Good chances for top positions in the reverse grid races, of course, but it doesn't always go as planned. Fredriksson goes to the inside of Patrick Treffers through the chicane on the oval. They go, and Fredriksson looks to be almost past, but on the outside now, better run he will get, as Michael Thomas get held up a little bit behind there, behind the Treffers. But both Fredriksson and Treffers seems to be going. Both Fredriksson and Thomas seems to be going through Treffers. Nothing between the two BMW drivers. as Trevor gets a little bit of a slipstream there from Fredriksson that might help him into the braking zone at the end of the straight we go. And Michael Thomas goes through as Trevor concedes yet another position in the race. So Michael Thomas and Fredriksson working together almost, it looks like, to get through the field. As Villano actually manages to hold Richardson at 2.7 seconds across the start-finish line, still 2.7 over the first split. But Michael Thomas and Percy Fredriksson on the attacking move. It's Shelikins next for these two drivers. Shelikins, who started in pole position and didn't have the most optimum 5 minutes of opening time in this race. Though with Shelikins somewhat slower driving of these two guys, Trevor's are right up behind them again. Different lines there from Thomas and Fredriksson, and Thomas goes through Fredriksson and up into 7th position now for Michael Thomas. Fredriksson are probably not too happy about that, as it looked like a little bit of a mistake or a bad line, at least from Fredriksson, that allowed Thomas to go through in a little bit of a weird place on the track. Might have just been a tactical thing to let him by, but would surprise me quite a bit if Fredriksson did that, as he is already crowned champion of the semi-pros. So further down behind Ben Mullert. Mullert haven't made up all the positions that he would have wanted so far in the race. So with the fastest lap of the race so far, all the way down in 14th position.
Yeah, and just ahead into turn 1, it looked like Dreisig was making a position up and trying to make a move on Bas Van Melis, and yep, Bas Van Melis loses. Bas Van Melis gets tagged around.
That was the 17th. That was Ben Mullert doing an uncharacteristic mistake there. Bas now will drop to the back of the field of those who are not lapped. So he'll be 20th as he rejoins the track. Very unfortunate second race so far from Mr. Van Melis. Further up the field, Shelikins is doing a good job of holding Fredriksson behind. Michael Thomas have made his way through. So this could be race decisive for Fredriksson if he can't get the pass done sooner rather than later on Shelikins. He does take some better lines there, does Fredriksson. It could be overtaking opportunity into the chicane on the oval into Indy turn 1. Basically where the chicane is placed. He does go for the move there and gets it stopped nicely on the apex. Leaves Shelikins no chance to come back from that one, so that's a position gained there from Fredriksson. Further down the field, Simsport up into 10th position. He's ahead of Dreisig. Will be a crowned champion if these results hold home or stick home. Spengling up into 9th, I should say, sorry, as he's the next man up on Shelikins. As Trevor's also seems to be dropping positions at the minute. Next man to overtake Trevor's will be dressing further down the field. Anstetter up behind Richard Prixley in the beautiful Wild Things livery, the Nissan. The classic Wild Things design also, I should add to that, as Wild Things have turned to a pink livery with the black lyrics or black wordings and sponsors on the side and top. The straight Uno reverse of the livery that Richard Prixley is running on the old Nissan, but a little bit of a throwback as well, seeing the black and pink Wild Things livery, one of my personal favorites all time. Not that the new one is bad either, it's also pretty good, and then it's classic, of course, as him sprinkling to the inside of Shelikins through the tricky inside section there. And Dreising looks to be making the move as well. Shelikins just stays wide there. Dreising could potentially have the run on Spenkeling, but backs out of it. Though on the outside, who was that? That was Urso also sneaking through Shelikins there. Shelikins dropped 3 positions in about 2 corners.
Yeah, and that's a problem as well. If someone passes you, you get caught offline, and basically you get swamped as well. That's the thing with these reverse grid races. As it looks like Sam's having to defend from Marius as well, heading down to turn
He
one.
will have to defend massively as Marius does get a much better run onto the start-finish straight. But he will have to go the long way around, a little bit of archie-barchie there. Urso then comes to the outside of Dressinger there, but not enough overspeed to get it done. Archie-barchie on the exit there, though clean enough. The 888 car causing a yellow flag in through the corner we go. Not the greatest place to rejoin the track, but they go each their way around him. All of them does basically, and he gets spun around there behind as well. Again does the 888 car. Lutinger there, unfortunate for him, as he will drop down to rejoin the field in the second to last of the drivers on the lead lap. Only Basflat Melis behind him at the minute. Brixley under pressure from Anstetter, and applying the pressure as well to Patrick Treffers, who's behind the Schillikens. As we can see, it's not through the middle sector here where the big difference is made, but in this tricky corner leading onto the almost oval part of the track that they entered now, that's basically where most time is lost and found between the very top and the midfield of SSRI. It looks like, at least here in Indianapolis, but very close lap times in both qualifying and on the practice servers before the race. One of the tightest fields we have ever had here in the SSRI. The racing really shows that Richard Brixley gets a massive run there on Patrick Treffers, who might have had to lift them into Indy turn 1. As Treffers might be losing 2 for 1 here, as Anstead looks to the inside, as Treffers looked to have outbraked himself, but that BMW just braked much better than the Nissan of old. With Anstead still applying the pressure, Treffers taking a little bit of a defensive line there, and I think that's Milan Dumas behind them in the lapped Ferrari, and he will be attempting to unlap himself, will Milan Dumas, as he gets in the mix with the McLaren driver of Ben Muller. No, sorry, that's Regan Mitchells, who have climbed back up the field after spinning out early, as he almost does so again there, getting just a wheel onto the grass, putting a little bit on the slide there onto the McLaren of Regan Mitchell. Further up the field, Sim Spinkling still under pressure by Urso and Mario Stressing. Not heavy pressure though, as it's just that half-second gap that between the top drivers is a long way to catch up still from Urso, and trying to get close underneath another driver is a little bit difficult, and staying there, especially on a track like this with the big braking zones coming up, where the being one car ahead can give you just those tits pulling out of a corner. Stressing, I had a little bit of a slide there in the penultimate corner. Fredriksson on the move once again on Verhoeven. Michael Thomas, by the way, up into third position already. He could potentially still go and win it to make it 5 wins in a row for Michael Thomas. Was it just 4? I think it's just 4 actually. It would be, as he just have won. It would be 4 wins in a row if Michael Thomas wins this one as well. The first double winner ever in SSRI on the same track in the same season of racing. He has still about 6.7 seconds up to the race lead, and will have to go through Richardson to get there as well. So still a bit of a challenge for Thomas to getting up there, but half an hour of racing to go to do so. With Urso still looking for a way past, and that's the car that's gone off. Looks like the Porsche of Verhoeven, who have dropped down some positions after that. Verhoeven looks to have rejoined behind Urso in 8th now. Anstetter still applying the pressure to Patrick Treffers. Showing himself a little bit on the inside, could just be the difference in line through those corners. Trying to set it up for the run onto the start-finish straight. That does Anstetter, but it does actually manage to get a good run there, the BMW, but the Ferrari have seemed to be struggling a little bit on top-end speed here on Indianapolis, as he's also under pressure from the lap car of Milan Dumas, who is allowed to unlap himself if someone wishes to and has the pace to do so. As Trevor's there gets very close to the rear end of Silikins, and that might have unsettled him on the braking and forced him to brake in a perfectly straight line as Milan Dumar and Trevor's makes contact in the background as all hail seems to be breaking loose. Back here with Ben Millard and Regan Mitchell's also making contact, and Ben Millard on the to the inside that becomes outside of Patrick Trevor's, and Trevor's just sitting there putting his car perfectly in the middle of the road to deny Ben Millard, who drops the position to Regan Mitchell in the process of trying to overtake Patrick Trevor's there, as they have to fall back in line. And yeah, Milan just getting involved where he probably shouldn't. Parties on the move on, is that Andy King? I think that's Andy King that Parties have passed and repassed and stuff like that happening down here in this end of the field. Andy King obviously co-commentator in the second tier from time to time when he finds the time to do so. Good to see him out on track in 16th position in the race at the minute. He is ahead of Parties. He's the UK pit stop boat esports whatever colored car, and it looks like that Parties is actually in a sandwich of two teammates now, with White of course in the other car of the team behind him.
Absolutely.
Two McLarens. Yeah.
As they go down the home straight, and yeah, it's been. I was expecting there to be loads of action up at the front, but further back, it's been action, or plenty of action going on. As it looks like Patrick Jeffers in front just ran slightly wide in turn one, and it's brought him back into this battle of right Partez, King and the Mullard as well, and yeah. Fantastic! This is fantastic racing and a fantastic way to round out the Tier 1 season.
Yeah, it looks like, speaking of Trevor's and turn 1, it seems like he has some issues getting that car stopped on time, hitting his braking markers there. It's quite a few times that we have seen him miss that braking into turn 1 so far this evening. So he might not have that braking marker set down completely, or maybe it's the draft from the cars ahead that puts him a little bit off. They're coming in with more speed than he's used to into turn 1 here in Indianapolis. That can be a little bit tricky there when you're in the toe of another car. Your car doesn't slow down as much as usual, and you're also coming with higher speed, so that could be tricky, as Fredriksson have caught up to Corso for 4th position in the race, but he has dropped a long way off of Michael Thomas at this point, who is also catching up to and we are back with live racing as we come back right in time with Fredriksson attempting the overtake on Corso, but not succeeding this time around, which also allows his teammate from the weekend of endurance racing, Sepp Spenkeling, to catch right back up to the back of Fredriksson once again. Both of them also driving the Lamborghini in the weekend's endurance race that we just saw on Indianapolis as well. So virtually they have not traveled at all. They might have had their virtual avatars just stay on virtual Indianapolis for the few days that have passed, and they might even stay for the virtual Indy 500 as well. Speaking of virtual racing, they are very close together. Sim is actually starting to look a little bit racy on Fredriksson as well. Sim have more to gain and lose in the championship. I do believe that Sim and Fredriksson are in a voice call together during this race, as Fredriksson have taken over Nard's spot as talking to Sim, as Regan Mitchells comes into the pits for unknown reasons, which promotes the Dutch driver of Mars Vermelis to 19th position, and the crowd went wild, or the virtual crowd went wild. Might actually be the real crowd out there behind the screens that goes wild for that, as Fredriksson this time seems to have the run on Corso, but he cannot go to the inside. It looks like he just had to back out of it there as he tried for the inside, but Corso was already there trying for it, as the crowd actually goes wild in the YouTube chat for Van Velis gaining a position. Frederiksen still on the back of Corso, but look at that, Sim might have a slight bit of overspeed on Frederiksen coming into turn 1, which could potentially be Sim Spinkeling trying for the move on Frederiksen. He moves into a clean air, as it could be a free wide if they are not careful about this, but Sim Spinkeling on the inside goes for the move and goes cleanly through, but look at that, that's Urso as well, applying the pressure to Frederiksen. Through the first couple of corners, Frederiksen having to go defensive there into turn 3, but that leaves the door open for Urso and the switchback. Not the overspeed that he would have wanted to the inside. He goes showing himself, but not enough. Tries the outside, maybe the switchback from Urso, but Frederiksen places the car nicely there on the inside line of the hairpin as Sim Spinkeling goes through Corso. That Frederiksen might be having a look there and thinking, how in the world did he do that so quickly? As Frederiksen just couldn't seem to be finding a way through there, as Corso almost gets forced a little bit wide there by Sim, but Corso put his car into a position where that was almost inevitable at the point, but manages to shut the door there from Frederiksen, having a little bit of a slide there that allows Urso to go through, and Frederiksen now dives to the inside as well, losing 2 positions, and for one they're 3 in a few corners as Dressing comes as well, but Dressing just has to back out of that, whereas he was watching a little bit wide there. As he goes back Urso to the outside, that becomes the inside of Frederiksen, really causing issues for Frederiksen in this race. Great racing between these drivers as Urso retakes the 6th position from Frederiksen, as Frederiksen gets put under pressure now from a Dressing that goes through into to 7th. It is hard to keep up with the racing going on in this one, as this is very intense at the minute. Dressing having to stay defensive through turn 1, as Frederiksen was still on the outside there, but gets it done by the end. Nice and cleanly. Michael Thomas, in the meanwhile, have overtaken Andrew Richardson and have moved himself up into 2nd position. 3 seconds off the race lead to make it 4 in a row, and the first double winner of SSRI history, if he can do so, or at least the first winner to win 2 SSRI sanctioned races, official championship SSRI races on the same evening. At least it would be for Michael Thomas if he can get this done, which would be an achievement on its own. And for Michael Thomas, missing that 1 round of the championship really hurt his championship contentions, and that round he missed was the double header at the Red Bull Ring. Obviously 2 races, 2 points giving races there, and that's probably the roughest one to miss over the course of a season. I think Sim missed that one as well, and that's why Michael Thomas is not in contention for this championship, unfortunate for him, but he will be scoring a good amount of points this evening.
Absolutely. Is Barry is trying to get by Horzo in front of him, but Mercedes on a straight excuse me, on a straight line has got that Mercedes on a straight line has got some grunt, as it looks like he actually is letting Dreiser go.
Yeah, and Frederiksen manages to sneak through as well, as Milan Dumark might actually gain a position as well, and Regan Mitchell pulled into the pits to retire. It seemed his game froze as he had a 5-second long freeze lull. Regan Mitchell, unfortunate Regan, that your season had to end like this. We hope that you'll be back next season, of course, as well, maybe in the Traction Thursdays. Would be good to see some Regan Mitchell there, and the PS UK esports drivers of Andy King and White close together on track, or at least within half a second across the start-finish line, but it seems like White have dropped a little bit further behind King at this point, as they are basically doing formation driving almost here in the final race of the season in their McLarens. The 2 remaining McLarens on track, surprisingly not that popular car this season, as it did dominate the entry list last season alongside the Ferrari, but there's still quite a few of in this championship, of course, and a good amount of BMWs as well for unknown reasons. Of course, it's not unknown, it's the Mode 11 team showing up with 3 of them, and that obviously gives some good numbers there on the entry list for the BMW crew, the Mode 11 guys almost. Frederiksen and Dressing not with the greatest of exits onto the main straight there. At least not better than dressing, as he's still a good 3/10 behind. Ben Mullert further down, next man up for Max Schinkelins. As Schinkelins might drop yet another position in this event. And speaking of, Frederiksen actually wins 2 in a row as well, but in the semi-pro class, as Mullert there goes a little bit deeper and almost manages to get the move done anyways. But Schinkelins on the inside here, difficult for Mullert, as Mullert almost just turns into Schinkelins there, as a little bit of argy-bargy as Anstead pushes Schinkelins a little bit forward, and Mullert goes through. Anstead comes in there very hot, loses a little bit there, almost contacts Schinkelins in a very awkward position on the track, as there he does make some awkward contact with Schinkelins.
As two of them go around and another car goes off in avoidance, that was that Patrick Treffers?
I think it was Patrick Treffers, as Bas Vermelis makes up another position in the race, as the crowd goes wild out there, all the way from the Netherlands to the US of A. We can hear the crowd roaring in the background for Bas Vermelis up into 18th position in the wide Mode 11 car, only one choosing to run the wide iteration of the Mode 11 livery. A mod classic of SSRI, I would say. And I think we need to speak to Bas about getting that helmet design updated. A little bit boring with the all black and white. I think my racing driver in the game wears a pink helmet with a yellow visor. I think Chris can catch that on camera next time I go racing, but yeah, it could be a little bit more creative there with the coloring from the Mode 11 driver. Although I don't think many people actually cares about customizing their driver in this game. As White have cut right up to the back of Andy King in the battle for 12th position, when teammates go racing. We'll see if they can keep it clean between them for the last 16 minutes and 30 seconds of this season. And what a season it has been, at least in the second tier. I haven't been watching all of the tier 1 races, unfortunately. Those I have been watching have been great entertainment though. So yeah, great stuff all around, as Michael Thomas have caught up to Vinello, and at this point he almost looks destined to become the first double winner of a sprint evening.
Absolutely. I was looking at Thomas right now, and right behind Vianello, and I think Vianello will probably put up a fight to try and hold on to the lead, as we've got about just under 60 minutes left in the race. And coming down the home straight, is Thomas going to try and make a move? He's not close enough, but yeah, just not close enough to make a move. And I think his best opportunity, if he gets a good run, could be down into turn 7. So
yeah, but you know, Thomas is not in a hurry to get this move done. He's uncontested from behind, and he knows it's just that one position that he have to gain. Of course, catching up to a driver and getting the move done are two very different things, but just having the presence of Michael Thomas in your rear view mirrors, that puts a huge amount of pressure on anyone up there. So there's another yellow flag. That's a 39 car. That's Schellekens once again. So Bas Vermelis up into 17th position due to Schellekens also going around for a little bit of a spin. And Marika goes wild back in the Netherlands once again out there. I wish we had live cameras on her for events like this. It would be great fun. Yeah, but Michael Thomas now being stuck behind for an entire lap. Maybe he's just gauging up where the best opportunity is to get the move done. As we can see all the debris on the track. Oh, well, debris, it's just styrofoam vaultings, of course. Didn't get the good run onto the start-finish straight this time, at least it didn't look too good from Michael Thomas. One of the better overtake opportunities on the track out turn 1, but it is very difficult staying close to each other around that that final corner that I have dubbed Indy turn 1, as it is the closest corner to Indy turn 1 on the track. But yeah, Michael Thomas might also be a little bit concerned about tire wears. We do know the BMW wears the tires a little bit more aggressively than the Ferrari, or quite a bit more aggressive than the Ferrari, also, although it is very setup dependent. But Thomas could be ending up struggling with that, and if Vinello can keep Thomas behind for long enough, he might actually be able to keep Michael Thomas behind. As you can see how he's sawing a little bit in the wheel there through the corner leading onto the back straight, does Michael Thomas. As we get a little bit of a driving lesson here on board with Michael Thomas. Although there he gets a good exit there, but again it is difficult. You need a slight mistake there as he actually gets a pretty good run there. Surprisingly, some rubber banding it almost looked like, as the closing speed just rapidly increased there from Thomas and Vinello. And Vinello, he's doing a little bit of wartime lines as Thomas almost gets the better run there and better line through the penultimate corner, but gets a bit of a slide on, which loses him all the all the greatest setup work he did to attempt the overtake, but still a good enough exit to catch up to Vinello in a straight line there for Michael Thomas. He might be actually running different setups from race 1 to race 2. Race 1 might have been a little bit more heavy on the downforce, and then this downforce for race 2 to make the overtakes easier, as now he does have quite the run and a strange but very good overtake there from Michael Thomas, who takes the lead of the reverse grid race here, race 2 on Indianapolis, on this final day of season 6 tier 1 racing here on SSRI, the GT3 virtual world championship, or this SSRI championship.
As at the bottom of the screen there, you've got Richard Pixley as well, trying to gain another position, currently in 9th place overall, and currently third in the semi-pro class as well. So if and it's a battle for another class position. So if Richard can make the move, he'll move up to 2nd place in the semi-pro class as well. So looking for a good. Gains a position, and the car in front just ran wide slightly, just maybe being distracted or looking at the mirror, doing as we like to call it in the virtual world, the mirror driving.
Good enough result here from Richard Pixley. He could potentially put himself up into to actually 2nd in the semi-pro championship if he manages to keep this one home, as Milan Dumas nowhere to be found here in the 2nd race and didn't have the best of race 1s. Same goes for Dennis Verhoeven, so Richard Pixley could thrust himself into 2nd in that semi-pro championship with a good result here in the 2nd race of this evening. So Richard Pixley, and he does manage to get through that up into to 8th and 2nd in class. More importantly for him, although Verhoeven is 3rd in class, so he might only end up in 3rd depending on how points were handed out in the first race and how it all ends up. But we'll have to wait and see on that, as Patrick Treffers have caught up to Lucian, or Lucian have made the move. Well, we should rather say if Lucian was around earlier on in the race. But so was Patrick Treffers, as these two are duking it out with just 10 minutes to go for these guys of the season. And the championship in total, if these guys battle hard enough, then fan favorite Bas van Mellis could potentially catch up to his teammate Patrick Treffers and Newton ahead of him, though Anstetter is applying a lot of pressure on Van Mellis as well at the minute. Further up the field, we have Sem Spinkelink in 4th position, who have managed to catch up to Andrew Richardson as well, best placed Mode 11 car at the minute, as all 3 Mode 11 cars seems to be in some sort of battling scenarios at the minute on track. Richardson, the only of the 3 Mode 11 drivers in the pro class, as he goes defensive and trying to break the toe there on Sem Spinkelink. Now we have done a defensive move, so we cannot pull back to the right hand side, but Sem is not close enough to try for the move here into turn 1. Does take the defensive braking line there, does Andrew Richardson into the corner. As yeah, it's funny, in the top left it's the Mode 11 car behind, and bottom right it's the Mode 11 car ahead, but how long it will stay like this, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they will synchronize the overtakes, as Sim is right up the rear wing there of Andrew Richardson through the hairpin. Much tighter line there from Sim, as he forces Richardson to stay away from the apex, as Sim was just far enough that Richardson might not have been confident enough pulling in there. In consideration to whether or not that they would have had a massive crash if he tried so, or maybe not massive, but crashed himself out if he tried to. But Sim couldn't take advantage of the tighter line onto the back straight and didn't go for the move. But very close through the weight transfer section of the track, the inside chicanes there, but not close enough into the chicane before Indy turn 1. But Sim does catch up through these chicanes and onto the back straight. Sim with the tighter line getting the exit, but will the toe or the slipstream force Sim to go wide? There you can see Sim being washed a little bit wider there than Andrew Richardson. But Sim now tucked in right behind Richardson's wing. Richardson goes all the way to the right hand wall almost. Moves back to the left, but not a defensive move, as Sim goes to the inside and goes through. Initially goes a little bit deep there, so Richardson on the outside trying the ultimate double cutback, but didn't work out there for Andrew. So Sim goes to third position in the race and a podium spot here in round 2, or race 2 of this evening, and demotes Andrew Richardson to 4th place. Good overtake there from Sim. Set up very nicely and took full advantage of getting the better run out of the penultimate corner and keeping the car tight enough through the final corner into turn 1 to get it done into actual turn 1 here on Indianapolis, which could be confusing for some, I could see. But hey ho, it is what it is. Yes, I had to do my catchphrase in this race as well. Further down the field, Bas Van Melis and Anstead duking it out for honors of 17th. Not in the same class, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to go racing against each other, especially in a race like this when not much else is possible of positions gained or lost. Both cars are super wide to look at, like the color white and not in a white as in fat. Yes, I had to mansplain that for unknown reasons. But yeah, Bas will be showing all of his defensive abilities in his mighty Mode 11 BMW ahead of the Big Brain Racing Ryanair Anstead driven number 26 Ferrari behind. See there, Bas chooses to use more track in that first initial braking zone there of the chicane. Quite different from driver to driver, whether or not that they use all the track available on the exit, or they try to put it close to make the setup easier for the ultimate corner. But Anstead tucked into the slipstream, but we just see, even though Anstead is in the slipstream, he doesn't really gain that much on Bas Van Melis down the straight. We know the Ferrari is better through the corners and under braking, as Trevors is also very close up ahead of this battle with Lucian. At the minute, it's all happening for the Mode 11 guys at the minute. 5 minutes left to go in the race. Yes, minutes have been said many times in the last minute. Do you have anything to say at this minute, Ryan Walker?
Just
give me a minute.
I was just like, I didn't want to interrupt, so but you're good. Yeah, just pretty much watching both these battles at the top and the bottom, and yeah, plenty of action going on, and Baz is doing a good defensive job. And at the bottom of the screen, we've got Pat Treffers trying to make a move as well, but just can't get by as well. But as we've got about 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, which is about four laps, I believe. So yeah, exciting way to round out the season. And up at the front, it's still Michael Thomas leading, and yeah, Michael Thomas has pretty much been on pretty much in commanding form tonight, and I think if he comes back, if he does plan to race again next season, next season in this series again. I think he could be the one to watch in the championship if he does every round.
If Michael Thomas races next season, then I think I will cross him off as the favorite. I will put him up on my favorite list, and I would definitely bet on him if I was a betting man, as he have won the last 4 races of this season. As we see Trevorson and Lucian there, Lucian also doing a good defensive job, just like Bas. Though it's a little bit of reverse Uno cards here. In the bottom picture, it's the Ferrari defending from the Mode 11 BMW, and in the top picture is the Mode 11 BMW defending from the Big Brain Racing Ferrari. Rather interesting situations. Which car is better? It looks like well, I would give the opportunity to Patrick Treffers, of course, having a better shots at overtaking, as the BMW seems to have more top end speed, but it also seems that the BMW is difficult to get the power down and out of the corners on this track, as you are still turning the car quite a lot when you are accelerating onto the straights here, and the BMW just seems to get a little bit loose when the drivers put the power down onto the 2 main straights. As this time Vermelli is under severe pressure, and he will have to go defensive now into the chicane, so we could potentially see a dive from Anstetter. The dive comes, Bas turns into Anstetter there. Room was left on the outside, and unfortunately Bas drops into 18th there. Valid defensive effort from Bas, who did well to hold off a pro driver for quite a while. Here at the closing stages of the race, 2 laps for Bas remaining. And he'll just have to enjoy the last couple of laps in the Mode 11 BMW of the season before going on to summer break, which I have seen involves him driving the first day cup in an Alpine. I do believe that he was signed up with in the GT4 category, which will be very good to follow him around there as well. I don't think there are any plans on broadcasting that championship, unfortunately, unless if the entries boost up rather quickly, and we would love to see that as a multi-class racing. Always fun to watch here on the channel. But Trevor's still behind. This time he could potentially go forward as the other another Mode 11 BMW. This time it's Andrew Richardson, who's under pressure by Urso for 4th position in the race. Richardson, who was one of my favorites as the race started to go for the win, him and Milan Dumar, how wrong I was about their chances in the race with a driver like Michael Thomas out there, looking hungry as ever. But yeah, one more lap to defend for Andrew Richardson to keep 4th position, as he's dragging a quite respectable train behind him of top drivers, with both Urso, of course, future racing as well, and then Fredriksson in the last man in the train. And that's some prominent names, the 2 champions behind Andrew Richardson. Of course, technically Dressinger isn't crown champion as of yet, though it does look like he will be, even if he drops quite a lot of positions here in the latter stages of the race. As Urso goes for the move up the inside, Richardson putting the squeeze on there to ensure that Urso could get a proper turn into the corner. Very good defensive driving, but look at how close those 4 cars are driving here on the final lap of the season. Timer have run out, as Michael Thomas will come around the final corner as we speak to take the 2nd win of the evening, 4th in a row to close out the championship season for him. Across it we goes here, but still very hard battling from Richardson and Urso behind. It could be a drag race up to the line. I would still give it to the BMW, as Urso doesn't get the proper line there through the final corner, as it will be Richardson in 4th, Urso, and then Dressinger and Fredriksson behind. Travers also tried a bit of a Hail Mary there, trying to stay as close as he possibly could to Lucian, but ending up losing the meters on Lucian there, which means that Lucian will probably end up finishing ahead of Mr. Patrick Travers as they round the penultimate corner. People are leaving the server, which makes it difficult for us to actually spot the position that people are finishing in. But across the line we go. Anyone up for an interview, please come in for an interview to round off the season. Put some words on the season you have felt, whether or not that you won or lost. We would like to hear from you. Especially Mr. Van Melis, as we know you have supporters out there who wants to hear from you and put words on your great season. Great driving for everyone out there. I haven't obviously watched the Tier 1 season to the fully, but Ryan Walker, you have, and you can probably put some words on the season and how it's been in general.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic season, and every race has had great racing, and throughout the field in both classes, and I think excuse me, Maris Dreisig taking a well-deserved championship, I believe. So if my maths is correct,
they are correct.
And taking a well-deserved championship, and Terrence Fredrickson taking the semi-pro class championship again, if my maths is correct. So
I think they are. It'd be very hard to mess that one up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just had to be sure because doing live maths has never been a strong point of mine. But yeah, congratulations to both drivers taking a well-deserved championship.
Well, I think we should stop calling it maths and call it guesstimations instead.
Yeah, guesstimation. Yeah, I go with that. But I think we've got a couple of drivers in the interview room. They're waiting for us. One of them is our championship winner in the semi-pro class championship in Tier 1, which is Terrence Fredrickson. So it might be worth dragging him in.
He's not in the waiting room. He's just in the general chat. With
he's in the general chat. Oh,
we can drag him in anyway, just to bother him.
But,
actually, here you go, Ryan. Are you ready for the talk with Fredrickson? 3, 2, 1.
As got our semi-pro class champion joining us. First off, sorry for interrupting you, Terrence, if you were talking to Sam, but congratulations on the championship.
Appreciate it.
For tonight as well, and looking back at the season in general, how do you, apart from winning the championship in the semi-pro class, how do you think the season went for you? Do you think it's went as well as expected, or do you think there were some maybe races that you could have maybe got a better result, or it could have gone better?
It has went quite good actually. I know I should be up there and be fighting, but I didn't expect it to be like. I got good results on most of the tracks, and on Imola. I was in the lead, but I got this penalty at right through because of pit limiter. But and then that didn't really didn't give me the P1, so I was a little sad because of that. But in the end, it didn't really matter because I see some other guys of that was silver and bronze. Those guys behind me, I was fighting against in the table. They wasn't really racing. So in the end, it's just in the end I got it pretty easy with. Not easy, but I know was not so close in the points, but it has gone all over all my expectations, and it has been a good season for me.
Anyone you would like to say a few words to now that we're live on stream, even in Norwegian if you prefer to, before we round off with you?
Jeg vil bare takke for en god sesong, og så gleder jeg meg til å ta tak i en ny sesong i Pro-klassen.
Held og lykke næste år i Pro-klassen. Vi får se. That was Fredrickson, championship winner of the semi-pros, promoted into pro next season if he so on chooses to continue racing with us. We do hope so, as we are also joined by tonight's double race winner, Michael Thomas. 4 in a row, Michael.
Yeah, that was good end to the season.
Oh, not good enough though. You should have made it 6, of course.
Yeah, damn illness.
Yeah, but no. Next season, if you're coming back to racing with us, you might be estimated as the bookmaker's favorite for the championship. Obviously, I'm the only bookmaker here, but
You're taking all bets. Sounds all above board.
yes, that's totally not rigged. No, but good performance today. First time we see a driver winning from the back of the field. Congratulations on that. Tough racing out there, getting through the field. We saw on the stream.
Yeah, it was just about kind of being as safe and as clean as possible for the first 2 or 3 laps. Got quite lucky. Space kind of opened up ahead of me at the end of sector 1 with an instant ahead, and then it was just a matter of trying to get past some drivers as cleanly as possible. And yeah, a lot of the drivers were quite friendly with that, which was great. No one really fought for position. I don't know whether I should say that, but yeah.
I think they fought, but you're just so much quicker that it didn't look like it from your point of view.
Oh well, I put the hazards on anyway. Say thank you to the drivers that there were some guys that indicated and let me through. Bass and Richardson as a note. It was always going to be more difficult, like the higher up the grid you get in the last kind of 20 minutes, because the gent who was in the lead was pumping in some really good laps, and he just made a few mistakes that allowed me to catch up. And then when I was with him, if he had actually defended, he probably could have really took it to the end. But I guess he just wanted, to sacrifice P1 and get a solid P2. So, thank you.
Yeah, but 4 wins in a row. Not many people have done that before. And this tonight, the double win. Also, first time that we see that. It's a big achievement and puts some big weights on your shoulder. And if you're looking for an endurance team next season, I know some guys that would want to hire you for your soul.
Yeah, I've had plenty of offers from some guys in the league, but yeah, it's very flattering.
I think our team would be, or the team I know of would be very, very the best option.
Yeah, well, just like your bookmaking, I guess it's all above board.
Yes. It's the best, but yeah, looking forward to next season. Coming back with the BMW, if you are coming back, or you're challenging yourself to the Mustang.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see what tracks you guys put up in the league when the league is, and yeah, it might be a change of car, might be a bit more of a challenge. We'll see. I'm really getting on with the BMW of late, so it's kind of, I don't want to lose that rhythm, but we'll see.
Yeah, and a big question for the BMW as well here in Indianapolis, because I drove the Mercedes in the weekend around here, and the tire wear was horrendous on that car. How was it in the BMW, as it's also a front-engined, somewhat front-heavy car?
It was pretty bad in the last 10 minutes, so I went up to TC3 just to try and help. But essentially just using the gears to rotate the car through the S section, especially just using like quick shift down to third, second, then back up to third, just to try and stabilize it and stop any slides. But it did get pretty bad. The 20-minute race, it was fine, but yeah, at the end of that one there, it wasn't pleasant. The rear left didn't like me very much.
No, I couldn't imagine. So in a race like this, but thank you for joining us in the interview room. Before we round off, Ryan, do you have anything to ask Michael Thomas? I've just been chatting with him all time.
Looking back at the whole season, that I was asking Fredrickson about this. Was there any rounds that you think you could have done better, or do you think that the season's pretty much went as you expected? And if you do come back, are you, if you don't go with the BMW, any cars that you plan to go, any other car that you plan to go with?
So as the season goes, I think the first race was really positive, and then I had a bit of a thing where I had to leave the rig, so didn't end up finishing that one, and then I couldn't make Red Bull Ring, so then I kind of just put it on myself to really put in the best performances possible for the last 4, and obviously Dreisig is so fast, and Mitchell, and there's some, and Spengelink, I believe, Sam, he's so fast, and there's Ursu. So like every time I'm thinking I'm coming into quali, I'm like, yeah, this is, I've got good pace here, and then they guys are just pushing so hard. So if it wasn't for the first, 2 rounds, I guess could have been a bit more relaxed during these last 4. But yeah, they really pushed, and they made me do what I did in terms of pace. You know, if it wasn't for them pushing, I wouldn't be able to go as fast as I did. And for next season, car-wise, if it's not the Beamer, probably the Mustang, I would say. But it's being pretty heavily nerfed at the minute, so we'll see what Kunos does with any updates. See what happens. But yeah, I'm not a mid-engine driver car. I don't really like them too much, so it'll be front engine. Put it that way.
That will be good to know. And that was Michael Thomas. We are now joined by Mr. Disconnect Milan Dumar himself. Unfortunate second race from you there, starting in P2 and then having the disconnect. You could potentially have won it, as we know you have quite good pace around Indianapolis.
Yeah, was looking pretty nice. Yeah, and I don't know what happened with the disconnect, because I was in a call with someone and he said it was just like for half a second, and then I had connection again. So super disappointing.
Yes, and very unfortunate there. And race 1 obviously didn't went exactly to plan for you either, as you started in second in the in the second race.
Yeah, I started P14, I think. Had an incident with Andrew, and then tried to recover, and then had another incident with Bas, I think. Yeah, and then
I think you might be right.
Yep. Yeah, and it was in the last few laps, so I was at the back anyway. So well, it gave me a front row start. Didn't work out anyways, but yeah.
That's unfortunately just how racing goes from time to time. But looking back on the season, are you happy with the results? Or no?
It was like this all season. Just incidents here and there. Some my fault, some weren't. Yeah. It is what it is. Let's try again next season.
Well, and try again you will, as we are hoping to see you come back even stronger than ever before. But I have work in the morning, so we are rounding off the stream.
Right, good idea.
And the Tier 1 season, thank you for joining us, Milan. Thank you for commentating all season. Ryan Walker and Frank Hopp, unfortunately, wasn't here tonight. Thank you for controlling the cameras, Chris Hill, and thank you to all the admins for adminning and arranging these great races. Thank you to the stewards for putting all of their free time into stewarding these events. And a special thank you to all the drivers who gave us all of the action. I am Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver. With me tonight have been Ryan Walker, and behind the cameras, Chris Hill. As always, only one thing left to say. See you all next week, and if not there, then next season. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.